everyone, this is Roseanne Portia from Map System, and it's my pleasure to present to you today this webinar called Knowing Your Business Success Focal Points. And today I'm going to focus on 3 of the very key, very important focal points that every business owner needs to focus on. And the reason for that is because we get bogged down and we get very busy doing the day-to-day work. So if we can break down what we need to focus on in terms of growing our business and maximizing our time and making sure that every interview is a quality interview that converts the clients, then we're doing a lot to ensure that our business is very successful. And sometimes it can be 3 things that you implement and you do on a regular basis that becomes second nature that has a huge impact on your business. And it's those 3 that I'd like to take you through today. So what we'll do is I'll just give you a little bit of information about me. I am an author, speaker, and business consultant, and I love marketing. Everything to do with marketing, it's my passion. And I've recently written the book, Cracking the Referral Code, and that book is all about how to get more referrals in your business through your clients and through your referrers. And I have in fact created a full client acquisition program based around how you can get more referrals in your business in an easy way. So if you would like a copy of my book, then please just send me an email and I'd be glad to forward a copy to you. So what we're going to discuss today is knowing the numbers in your business and why that's so important, why it's important to know what your revenue is, when you're going to be likely to receive that revenue, and knowing what your costs are, what your hourly rate is. All of those factors are very important in you having a successful business that you can grow and you can leverage. Then we're going to talk about some interview techniques, some very clever hints and tips that you'll find, I'm sure you'll find fascinating, to create lasting trust, because it's trust that helps that person sign on the dotted line. It's trust and a feeling of certainty that you're going to do a great job for them and that you have their best interest at heart that makes that person feel comfortable and do business with you rather than keeping on shopping until they find another broker or a bank that gives them that satisfaction. So what we want to do is we want for that to be you, so that you maximize your time and that you close as many people that are suitable for the loan product as possible. Then one of the third very important aspects of any business is staying in touch with your clients. Your client needs to hear from you on a regular basis, and there's some easy streamlined ways of doing that so that it takes the guesswork out for you and you don't have to feel overwhelmed and feel like it's a very big enormous project. Some very easy hints and tips that you can implement immediately to stay in touch with your clients, and also that will help you generate more business as well. So let's ask the question, why are we in business? What is the main function of any business? And that is to get and keep clients. If we weren't in business, we would work for someone else and then it would be that person's responsibility to get and keep clients. But since we're the business owners, that's our responsibility to get the clients and to keep them through the loyalty. So as a business owner, it's your job to start to look at and notice, is the tasks you're doing on a daily basis, is where you're spending your time leading you towards gaining more clients and keeping the ones you've got? Or is it a sense of distraction and too much back office and compliance and all of the paperwork and putting out fires? Is that overtaking your working day? Because the reality is, if you want your business to grow and to be prosperous and highly profitable, you need to be doing something on a daily basis that's leading you towards gaining more clients. So here we go into the first section, know thy number. It's really important. I have owned 2 successful businesses for 14 years. I've been in the finance industry for 13 years, and it's fascinating how when you have two businesses and up to about 12 staff, I can tell you that I learned very quickly at a young age to really focus on the numbers and to be very particular about what my costs were, what my revenue was, and how much I was getting on a weekly, monthly and quarterly basis. So I learnt that very quickly from a young age. And when I work with business owners, I typically ask them, how often do you check in to your numbers? And it's surprising the number of people who will tell me, well, every quarter when I do my BAS, Rose, that's when I check my numbers. And look, I feel that that's just too long a gap from one quarter to the next, because if you've got a particular target, if for example you want a certain dollar value to be achieved at the end of the year, and that equates to seeing a certain number of clients a week, if you have missed out seeing a few clients here and there because you were busy with back office or PD days or whatever, and then you get to the quarter and you realize, oh, now I'm actually 10 clients behind where I should be, it's much harder to catch up than if you were doing that and checking it on a weekly basis. So the most successful business owners, they do check their numbers on a weekly basis. They look at where are they now, what income is potentially coming in, what is definitely settled and will be arriving in the bank very soon, and what are all the costs associated, so that they start to see what is the revenue for the business. And I know we get busy and we get bogged down, but it is very important, because if you think of it, if you've got a goal of seeing perhaps 5 people a week, and last week you got busy or you weren't feeling well and you only saw 4, then that gives you the opportunity by checking weekly to say, oh look, I should just do my best to see an extra 1 client this week. That's so much easier and so much more doable than leaving it till the end of the month or the end of the quarter, and then you just can't catch up. So highly recommend checking out your numbers on a weekly basis. Now, one of the questions that I always ask the clients that I work with is, do you know your hourly rate? And when we get down to it and we calculate it, I can tell you now, nobody that I've spoken to actually knows their hourly rate. And they're quite interested to find out, how do we work this number out and how do we create a benchmark for what we want our hourly rate to be. So let's discuss the formula, so that you can know what your hourly rate is and what you want it to become if you want that hourly rate to increase. So let's see. First you need to identify what are your costs. So we take the upfront commission. We get that value first. What are your costs? Do you have a personal assistant? Do you have referral fees that you need to pay? Are there any outsourcing fees that perhaps you need to pay someone? So we take the upfront commission, we remove any of our fees, and then we work out how many hours that we are spending on each file, from our prep time through to the interview, right through to settlement. Now that will help us to determine what the hourly rate is. So let's just assume, and these numbers are just very general, and by all means change those numbers to suit yourself. If you've got pen and paper handy, we're going to base this calculation and the next couple on an upfront of $2,000. And we're going to say in this particular scenario that there are no fees to PA or outsourcing or a referrer. Okay? Then we're also going to say that in this case, the broker spent 12 hours working on that particular file. Now, if you, for example, spend more time working on a file or less time working on a file, guess what? You're going to change that number. But this is just an approximate. And this 12 hour has been taken from an industry standard, and that may be something you agree with or it may be not, and that's fine. So just put in the number that relates to you. But for this exercise, we would say $2,000 divided by 12 hours to complete the file will give us an hourly rate of $166. Then we start to think, okay, could I potentially increase my hourly rate? If I could, how would I do that? So we're still staying with that $2,000 upfront commission. And what if we got in a personal assistant at 8 hours? and they took over 8 hours of that particular loan in terms of calling the banks, putting the file together, submitting it online, all of that, and that personal assistant took away out 8 hours of the work. Their fee, if they're on a $30 an hour fee, again that can be changed up and down depending on what the going rate is in your town. So that would leave the net amount of $1,600. If you've then spent 4 hours working on that file, you divide that $1,600 by 4 hours, your hourly rate has now increased to $400. And guess what? You've got 8 more hours to put yourself in front of new clients or to catch up with existing clients and talk about annual reviews or who else that they can refer you to. So it creates more time for you to be more proactive in generating business. So as we saw the previous example, you did all the work, all the back office, all the compliance, and you made $166 an hour. In this case, yes, you did have the cost of a personal assistant, but you actually made $400 an hour. Now, if you don't want to take on the responsibility of having a personal assistant, on a regular basis, there's always the opportunity through Connective with My Virtual Office, which means you only pay them deal by deal. So if you're not really busy, you're not having someone sitting there in the office that's costing you money and you haven't got loans for them to submit. So there's a couple of ways there that you can outsource and in fact increase your hourly rate so you can be available to see more clients. Here's another case study. We're going to take the same example and we're going to assume that we have a PA and that her fee or his fee was around $240. Now we're going to add some commission shared by referring your client to a financial planner for their insurance needs. Most insurance premiums on average generate about $3,000 in commission. So if you're in a revenue sharing situation with your financial planner, let's have a look at the numbers that creates. So here's the next case study. We take that same $1,600, which was the original $2,000 upfront commission, less the $240 for the PA, and we're going to look at a couple of opportunities here. Some financial planners will give you a share of commission of about 20%. Some others might do it at 30%. So let's look at both. If the share of commission you received was 20%, then that's an extra $600 to you. That makes your upfront, if you add that to the $1,600, $2,200. If you receive a 30% share of commission, that's going to be $900 based on that original $3,000 approximate. That means you would add $900 to your $1,600, and now suddenly that client is worth to you $2,500. And the beauty of it is, you didn't actually have to complete that service. You referred it on to the financial planner and they did the work for you. So I really want you to start thinking about how you can increase the dollar value of each client you work with. That's something I'm really passionate about. I work with many financial professionals, both mortgage brokers and financial planners, to help them increase the dollar value of the clients they work with. So in example A, where you have 20% share of that commission, your hourly rate now is $550. In example B, where you had the 30% share of commission and are still assuming that you're contributing 4 hours to the file, your hourly rate has now gone up to $625. So it's a very easy way of increasing your hourly rate and being aware of, are you spending too much time in the back office? Is what you're doing leading you to gain more clients, or is what you're doing currently keeping you in front of your computer in your office, not necessarily seeing more people for more loans? So definitely something to think about there. When you are proactive in that style of knowing the numbers, it creates choice for you within your business. It allows you to choose, do you want to get in front of more clients and increase your trail book and have a larger client base? Because at the end of the day, you're creating an asset that's you want to grow. Or do do you have the choice then to see the same number of clients, but you spend more time with them and you offer cross-sell opportunities to financial planners, perhaps property, and you really nurture that one client, and instead of them being a $1,600 commission, you take them up and there may be a $4,000 or $5,000 or $8,000 commission and client value. So you've got the choice. When you've got more time available to you and you really know the numbers that you have currently and that you want to achieve, it creates choice within your business and you don't feel like you're bogged down. The next section I'd like to talk to you about is interview techniques to create a solid bond with your clients. In the first section, we were talking all about the numbers, and that's a really critical part and definitely something I want you to think about. The next section is the fact that you have interviews with your clients on a regular basis, probably daily, and certainly you'd have a number every week. So what we want you to consider is thinking about creating that really solid bond with your client. And it starts from the first phone call or that first email that you receive. Because what we want to create is trust. Trust is the ultimate unit of currency. If you think about it for a moment, until a person trusts you and feels really comfortable with you and knows that you have their best interest at heart, they're not going to commit and sign on the dotted line and do business with you. They'll just keep shopping. So what we want to do is create that really quality sense of trust for your clients. So when you meet with the clients, we want you to create a really good level of rapport. And the easiest way to create rapport with anyone is a genuine smile and lots of eye contact. It's amazing, but neurologically in our primitive brain, there is a neurological signal that tells a person that you're okay, that you're safe, that they can look into what you're saying, that they can start to trust you when you give a lot of eye contact. It's a very, very simple technique. It's easy to remember and it's easy to implement. Sometimes we can easily get bogged down and start typing on our computer or put our head down and start writing notes. Yes, of course that has to happen, but for the beginning of the meeting with your client, really just spend time giving them eye contact and showing that you are very genuine, because they will notice and feel your intent, that you are a quality person that can be trusted. So take that little tip, because it's actually a neurological wiring that we have in the brain. So be aware of that with your clients. And if you've ever wondered, what are your clients thinking? What are their objections? What have they come in with in their mind that they're thinking about, that they're concerned about, that they're not sure about? Every person that you meet with is always going to have some level of objection or some level of I'm not sure about this, or I'm a bit concerned. And they walk in with that. And sometimes you'll even notice that on the phone when they make that first initial contact, whether you're phoning them for the meeting or they're calling you. We've got to be aware of that there's potentially some objections there that we've got to overcome. Otherwise, that diminishes our conversion ratios, and people then just, what they do is they just keep shopping. So we want to eliminate that because your time is valuable. So just to let you know, there are 4 universal objections. And we can dress them up in any way we like. We can give them different explanations and different names and different formats, but the reality is they fit into 4 categories. And the sooner that you overcome these objections early in the interview, the faster your client will feel comfortable and trust you enough to sign up. So let's talk about these 4 objections. Here they are. Money, time, this won't work for me, is the universal objection, which is quite often wrapped up as I'm confused, I need more information, I'm not sure, and can I trust you? Now the interesting thing about this is that people don't even realise, but they will give it away. They will tell you what their universal objection is. Some people will have a couple, some might have one, and if you are just starting to listen to them on the phone or in the beginning of the meeting, I can assure you they will tell you their objection and they don't even realise they're doing it. It's really quite fascinating. And for you, it's almost like you're reading their mind. You know exactly what they're thinking. And that way you can manage it up front. So this little skill is absolutely priceless. So let's talk about the money. You're going to hear things like, if they call you on the phone or if they're face to face, so what's your best rate? What are all the fees? I want the cheapest rate. I'm only here for the cheapest rate. Hey, are you going to charge me a fee for this? They're your money focused people. So what you would do if they get on the phone and they call you and they say, oh, what's your best rate? Or I don't want any fees. You're going to, in the very beginning, after you've created quality rapport and got to know them, you're going to definitely want to talk to them and show them how rates that are advertised are not all equal. And it's very important to show them comparison rates and how this rate may appear good, but then once you add in the monthly fees and the annual fees, etc., it's actually higher than perhaps another rate. So you're going to need to educate them on that. But guess what? You've already got the heads up that that's one of their biggest objections, so manage that ahead of time. The next one is interesting. Time. People will be time focused or have time as an objection when they say things like, how soon can we make this happen? So what's the process? How long does this all take? And they may or may not be, sometimes they're hard to secure for an appointment, or they keep changing appointments, okay, because they're just so busy, because their biggest objection is time, and they really do try to fit so many things into their day. Then the problem with these time-orientated people, they were in such a hurry to get things done, and then what happens, and I'm sure you're all going to smile here, is then they drip feed you the supporting information, and you keep chasing them, but yet they were the ones that wanted this done what felt like yesterday. So when they come in and they're very time-focused, it's very important that we kind of nail them and get them participating in the process as well, and I'll tell you about that more in a moment. The next category is this won't work for me, and typically it's the people who are confused or need more information, or they're not sure. They're saying things like, I'm not sure if this is the right option. Or they might get on the phone, oh, I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing here. I probably should stay with my own bank, but I'm not sure. So they are confused. They're confused about their product. They're confused about the rates and the structure and things like that. So you will need to nurture them and help take them out of a state of confused. Because if they're still confused, then they're not going to sign on the bottom line. Okay? The can I trust you? That is dressed up in a number of different ways as well. They'll say things like, I've been to brokers before. I don't know you guys, I don't know about you brokers. Maybe I should just be going straight to the bank. Or they might get on the phone and say, oh, my bank is terrible. They're scamming me. I've actually heard clients say to brokers, my bank is scamming me, which is a very harsh thing to say. But that is, can I trust you? They'll say things like, oh, why should I choose you and not go to the bank directly? Or they'll say things like, I'm not sure about this, if I should even be doing anything at all. That is, can I trust you? Will you make it all right? Will you deliver? So that's where you need to elevate yourself and give them a sense of trust that yes, they can trust you. And that's one of the first things you might say is, look, I've got 300 clients on my database and they're all loyal clients, and I've been in the business for 8 years or whatever that number is, and I am really committed to doing the best for my clients. That might be one of the conversations you have to have up front if they're a client that comes in with that particular objection. But isn't it fascinating how now you know that, you can start to listen to what they're saying on the phone when they first make contact, and also start to listen to what they're saying to you at the interview, because they're the things you need to manage, because you don't want to get to the end of your delivery and your presentation and then they start bringing up these objections. You want to start listening to what they're saying early in the piece and manage them up front, so that then when you get on to discussing products, rates, lenders, that they are on board with you. So by knowing all the objections and listening carefully to what your client says, you will hear and understand the signals of what they are most concerned about. Please don't feel uncomfortable about an objection. They're actually a buying sign. The client is simply saying, manage this objection and I'll buy from you. Manage this objection and you'll have my trust. And that's what we ultimately want. So objections are something that we can be aware of ahead of time, and guess what? The client doesn't even know that you know what their objection is. So now I want you to consider to zero in on what that client needs. So you've established rapport, you're aware of some of their potential objections. There may be one, there may be two, and you're managing that. Now you've got to really focus on what they need, because what I've found, the more experienced a broker is, the more likely they are to not necessarily ask the clients all their needs. They kind of get in and do the job. And look, that's a fabulous thing, because it shows how experienced you are and what a quality broker you are, but it can leave the client feeling a little bit unheard. So what is important is don't offer a solution until you've actually heard what the client's wants and needs are. Now the reality is, you'll probably know 95% or 97% of exactly what that client needs and what that client wants. But you must give them that opportunity. And I'll tell you why. Again, this is a little bit of human behavior and a little bit of psychology. When they're driving to meet with you, or whether you're coming to see them, but there's that, that half an hour or 1 hour before that you guys catch up, they're rolling around all of these things in their mind. And they need to actually offload all of what's going on in their mind for them to be feeling comfortable, and then to be open to hearing what you have to say. So your client should be doing all of the talking in the first part of the interview, so that they can start to feel comfortable between you and build that trust. Your job at the beginning of the interview is to ask quality questions, rather than to launch in and say, okay, so you want to refinance, right, we've got these 3 options. That can sometimes startle a client. Not everyone, because some clients are, that active personality that just want to get down to business, and that's fine. But the majority of clients, they actually want to be heard. And what happens is, I'm not sure if you have ever experienced this, or perhaps you know someone who has, when you've got a problem or you've got a decision to make and you're rolling it around in your head, the minute you start to talk to someone and you just express everything that you've got to say, suddenly you find the answer for that problem, or you have more clarity around that decision. It's exactly the same for your clients, and hence why it's so important to get them to speak and express everything they want to. It might only be that you ask them 2 or 3 questions and they're ready to go. It might be that they need to express and offload a little bit more of what's going on in their mind, but please give them the opportunity to do so. If you offer a solution before that client has said much, they may not feel completely heard, and then by the end of then they'll start to switch off with what you're saying, and that's where some brokers get oh, okay then, I'll think about it, because there wasn't that connection, and that client didn't feel heard, didn't feel like their needs were addressed and established. And the reason for this is that people buy on emotion, and they justify with logic. Every buying decision we make is actually an emotional one. We might not remember or recognize the emotion, because it might be a split second, and then we spend the next week, day, few hours, few months even, justifying that decision with logic. But the reality is, any decision you make comes from a part of the brain that is very separate to logic. So a prime example of this is if you've ever bought something and you knew you could have got it cheaper somewhere else. That's an example of you buying on an emotion. The emotion might have been convenience, or couldn't be bothered having to go back, or it was further, I was already here. That is still an emotion. I'm buying this, and then I'm justifying it with all these logical reasons because it was more convenient, and convenience is an emotion. So that's just a little simple analogy to help you understand that particular concept. Now, with those people that are time orientated, they especially need this particular concept that I'm going to talk to you about. What happens is, when you've got a time orientated person, they typically are in such a hurry and so gung-ho, but then they get so busy in their work life and their home life and everything else, that they will tend to drip feed you the information. And so I want you to start asking your clients, all of your clients, a really powerful question. And whether they're time focused or not, if you say to them, so John and Mary, what is your time frame for making this loan happen? And then let them answer. even though they might be holding a contract of sale that has the date on it, still let them answer, because what happens again from a psychological perspective, the minute that they have to think about a time frame and say it out loud, then that becomes true for them. And two things happen. One, they be committed to you because you're saying, what's your time frame for us making this happen? It's like we're already working together, so you're assuming that we're doing business together, so that's really powerful. And then by them having to answer that, it creates a level of accountability for them. The next thing you would definitely say is, okay, you would manage their expectations, because sometimes they might be thinking that it can all be done in a week, and it certainly can't. It might be 4, 5, 6 weeks, depending on the nature of that particular loan. So you would manage their expectations, and then you would say to those clients, look, John and Mary, in order for us to meet this time frame, and it may now be a new time frame because you've now discussed what the lenders can and can't do, etc. For us to meet this time frame, I will need certain things from you. We need to work together to get this loan processed. And what that does is it helps them to become more accountable when they have to give you supporting documentation. Because that is when I talk to brokers, it's one of the most painful things, that they hate having to chase supporting documentation. So that's why I've made it one of the points of this presentation, so that you guys can start saying, what's your time frame for making this happen? Then you have the discussion. Okay, well, based on our time frame of whatever date you decide, we need to work together, because I can't submit until I have all of this documentation. So we need to work together. And that is also helping your client to feel like they've committed to you, because it's all about we working together. So that's a really powerful question to ask your clients. Every client should be asked that one, and more so the clients that are time savvy, and the clients that have the objection of time need to be reminded of that on a regular basis. So that's a very important one. Then when you get to the end of your interview, here's another little hint that I'd like to give you, is to future pace your client. Now what that means, when you future pace your client, it's really important that you tell them what's going to happen next, because they may or may not know. If they're an investor and they've done lots of loans in the past, well look, they probably know the process and they're going to be au fait with it. But it still doesn't hurt for them to know what's happening next, okay? The key is not to overload them. Ideally, you'll tell them probably 3 things, and it might be, we will now put all of this information together, we will submit the loan to the lender, and we will wait for a conditional approval, and then we'll let you know. So it might be those 3 things. Of course, you know your business model and you know your own personal process. Just let the clients know exactly what's going to be happening next, because when they leave your office or you leave their home, they're not wondering. Again, it gives them a sense of certainty and comfort that you're taking care of everything. And that's what the client needs, because that is what the elevation of trust is all about, to create those loyal clients. And it ensures that they feel confident and they're not left wondering about, oh my goodness, what happens next? We forgot to ask. So please ensure that you do future pace your clients, and just let them know a couple of things that will now happen once they've signed the paperwork for the loan. So the third area that I want to focus on is staying in touch with your clients. They do need to hear from you. As you can see, we've covered all about the dollars in your business and being aware of what your costs are and what your time is. We've focused on some important hints and tips during your interview techniques that will help your conversions really go up. And that's what you want. You want to be in front of people, and you really want to, as long as it fits the lender guidelines, etc., you really want to be able to sign up as many people as possible. The next thing is, you want to stay in touch with your clients. They need to hear from you. I talk to so many financial professionals, mortgage brokers and financial planners, and they tell me, I'm almost embarrassed to contact my clients because I haven't really spoken to them or done anything for quite a while. Well, the reality is the clients do like to hear from you, and it's all about implementing a plan. If you have some form of activity and you have a plan in place, that will keep your clients thinking of you, keep your clients remembering you, and certainly if they want to have another service, then guess what? They're going to come straight to you before they go directly to their lender. So one of the key things I suggest is pick up the phone. The telephone is really one of the most underused forms of marketing. The easiest and friendliest way to stay in touch with your clients is a catch-up call. Okay, you can generate organic business from your existing clients. Now let me tell you how this is done. I have done so many campaigns with mortgage brokers whereby they just pick up the phone and call all their clients, or they employ someone. They get someone in, usually a girl with a bright, bubbly personality. More often than not, the girl doesn't even really know much about finance, but she's just bright, and stays in the office with the broker and just goes right through and calls all of the clients. How are you? What's been happening? If there's a new product or service that the broker wants to tell the clients about, you do that as well. But it's more just about checking in to see that your database is correct. Is your email address correct? Has your work number or your home number changed? Anything like that. And just touching base with the client. So I've done that so many times with people, and one springs to mind where a broker generated $60,000 in new business from existing clients doing this over a 5-week period. So he was absolutely wrapped. He was busy, and it was terrific in terms of being able to tap into those clients, because marketing experts will tell us that between 5 and 15% of your clients are actively thinking of doing something now. But maybe they haven't got around to calling you, or they've just been busy, but they're actively thinking about it. So that's your ability to tap into hidden profits and generate more dollars just from that one activity, which I highly recommend. And if you think about it, if your clients are thinking about something and they haven't had an opportunity to call you, and then you or someone from your office calls them, you're going to hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I've been meaning to call you. Oh, I've been wanting to talk about my loan," or "I'm thinking of getting an investment property because my neighbour's got one and we wanted to have a chat to you about that." So please don't underestimate how powerful the phone is. And so go ahead and pick up the telephone or get someone in and start calling your clients. The next thing is quality emails. And emails, look, they can be overused. So you do want to be sure that your emails are quality and that you're giving them valuable information. You want to have a cool subject line so that it intrigues them and captures their attention. Don't be scared to be a bit quirky. Have some fun with it, but always keep it in line with your personality, by all means. But do send out some emails on a regular basis. Not all of them, let's be real, not all of them will be opened, because we're all busy and we all get hundreds of emails every day. But at least if they see your name or your business name flash up, at least it's giving them something that reminds them of you. And if it's got a good subject heading and if it's got quality information, then they will be more likely to click on it and open it up. So a way of doing that, all of you should be looking at the My Marketing from Connective. And if you want to do some extra in addition to the My Marketing, because really, like I said before in the Know Your Numbers, you want to be outsourcing as much as possible. So the likes of MailChimp can easily be used to send emails to your clients. It's free to sign up. You can have up to 2,000 clients on the database, and you can send up to 15,000 emails a month. And the good thing is it will show you the analytics, just like Mercury does, of who opened the email, who deleted it, who didn't, what they did. So if you wanted to send something out in addition to the My Marketing, you could set up an automated MailChimp, and you could write out a couple of emails, maybe 4 or 5, and have them ready to go. And you can preset them on certain dates and certain times, and they'll just do it automatically for you. So that's a really powerful way of getting your emails out, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on it. The other thing is I suggest, mix it up a little bit, mix it up with letters in the post. Maybe you'll send the clients out a voucher for a financial strategy session, or maybe you'll put in a couple of vouchers and ask them to give it to their friends and create referrals. Okay, currently statistics suggest that people remember and respond better to something posted in the mail than what they do to email. So what I suggest is do a little bit of everything. Let's mix it up, because there's going to be those people that love getting the emails from you, so you should never stop doing that. There's going to be other people that love the phone or an SMS, so keep that going. And then there'll be those people that do like to get something in the mail and sit down with a cup of coffee and perhaps read through the newsletter or the article or something like that. So something cool to post out. With my MAP system, we have these cool CDs, how you can invest in property or how you can pay your mortgage off faster, the secrets the banks don't tell you, and we post them out to clients as information and also as a way of generating referrals. So keep that in the back of your mind. Social media is also another thing you can get into. A lot of business owners are a little bit daunted by social media, but you can have it set up in such a way that you can make one post and it goes to your business Facebook page, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, and even to your blog page. It's called a push notification. So the beautiful thing is that you can do it once and it can be sent off to all of those various social media mediums. And my suggestion with any of these things, if you're going to start a blog page or get into Facebook, a business page, and LinkedIn, and you're going to start posting, please do be consistent. There's nothing worse than having a post on Facebook and the last one was 2011 and here we are in 2013. You want to be consistent. So if you do start doing it, it really is something you can do in a couple of minutes, once or twice a week, and you can update all of those areas in one go. So consider getting into the social media, because it really is starting to take over in a big way. So now that we've talked about getting on the telephone, we've talked about quality emails, we've had a discussion about sending some cool things out, cool letters or reports or information out in the post, and getting into social media, here's an easy marketing plan, because nobody wants to have to do anything the hard way. We all want to do it the easy way. So here's a suggestion. What if you were to call your clients twice a year, or get someone in if you're too busy? What if between 12 and 24 times a year there was an email or an article or a report went out? And certainly my marketing can do that for you, so you don't even have to think about it. What about if 4 times a year you organised a mail campaign, something that you posted out, some valuable information, so that the clients who don't necessarily tap into emails as often as you would like them to will actually see something in the post. Then your social media posts, look, if you're going to get into it as often as you can, a couple of times a week is ideal, at the very least once a fortnight, so that your posts do look current. Make them relevant, make them interesting, and consider what is it that your clients might be wanting to know in terms of information that's current to them right now and potentially into the future, so that they can remember it and keep that in mind, or certainly they might like it and forward it on. So there are ways of generating business through all of those activities. So what we'll do now, I'll just give you a quick recap, but if you've got any questions, we're close to the end of the presentation. By all means, start typing in your questions, and then Annie and I will address any of those. So just to recap, make sure you know the numbers that relate to your business. I suggest that to my brokers, go out for breakfast once a week. Get up a bit earlier and take yourself out for a nice breakfast outside of the office, and sit down with your calculator or your computer or iPad and work out what are the numbers, what are the settlements likely to happen in the next month or two, what are your expenses, where are you, do you have office expenses, electricity, phone, internet, etc. What are they? And work out your numbers. Do that on a weekly basis. How many appointments do you need a week to generate the revenue and profits that you are hoping for the whole year? Are you on track? And that really can take probably 10 to 15 minutes. And then look at your marketing initiatives. Do you need to send out an email, or do you need to think about a letter campaign? Or maybe whilst you're there having your breakfast, you can send out some notifications on your Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. If you make that a habit where you do something that's kind of nice, like going out for breakfast, and make it a regular part of your week, you will do it because you'll schedule it in. So therefore, being able to take yourself out to breakfast, look at the numbers, where are you at, where do you need to be? If you're supposed to be seeing 4 clients a week and last week you saw 3, guess what? Maybe you try and fit in seeing 5 new clients this week to keep you back on track. It's a really great accountability method. And certainly then spend the next bit of time thinking about your marketing and how you can stay in touch with your clients. The next area we covered was building lasting relationships with your clients from the very first interview, the very first phone call, and always ensure that you're building and maintaining rapport. Always, exceed their expectations. Do a great job for your clients because they'll always remember that. Okay, and that creates the highest level of trust possible, which creates loyal clients. Loyal clients will give you repeat business and they will refer to you. And the third area that we touched on is stay in touch with your clients in as many ways as possible. Outsource and automate wherever you can. That's the best thing that I can suggest from these 3 very important focal areas of your business. If you focus on 3, I know there's probably 33 things that you could and should be focusing on, but the reality is if you focus on 3 at a time and implement them and get good at them, the results in your business will really be outstanding. It doesn't take a lot to make a big shift within your business.